Don't just take our word for it. Hear from real clients who have successfully navigated restraining order cases with our help. I've been doing this for years, helping clients either get restraining orders or fight against false accusations and restraining orders. And while restraining orders are civil in nature, there are a lot of negative implications that can come about from having a restraining order granted against someone. Now, a lot of times people will come asking for help when it comes to a family situation. This person filed a restraining order against me. It's the father of my child. I need help because this person is trying to make it to where I can't see my children anymore. There's one example from a person that lived in another state. He reached out to say, Mr. Ritchie, my ex-wife filed a restraining order against me. I have sole custody of the children. She's alleging domestic violence and filed a restraining order and took the kids to Indianapolis. This man has been calling the police in this other state, has an attorney in the other state trying to get back his children that he had sole legal custody for. But the other party was using these false accusations in a restraining order alleging domestic violence as her reason as to why she should have the ability to take the kids from one state and move them here to Indianapolis. So what did we do? We went to a hearing. The other party showed up. My client showed up via Zoom because, again, he doesn't even live here. He has no ties to Indianapolis and he's only been here once or twice. So we do the hearing. The petitioner brings up all the allegations that she thinks are true, and I cross-examine her. I present my own evidence, and I have my client testify. And at the end of the day, the judge found that the allegations that the petitioner was alleging were false. And what did that mean? It meant not only did my client not have a restraining order go against him, but it gave him the ability to fight and get his kids back. And he actually reached out to me a few months later saying, Zach, thank you. Because that restraining order was dismissed, I was able to get a writ of assistance to get my children back, and I have my children back now. So again, while these are civil in nature, the impacts can be huge. And that's just one way that we've helped people in the past. Now, another situation, someone from another country came to me and said, Mr. Ritchie, my ex is alleging domestic abuse. She called the cops. The cops didn't do anything. They didn't think there was enough to go forward. So what does she do? She files a restraining order. Well, in this particular culture that this person comes from, a restraining order alleging domestic violence is very, very bad. And this person was essentially shunned from his community. This is a person that came here from overseas to start a life for himself. It was a very inclusive community, which we was basically kicked out of. So he's essentially had a support system here in America that he was kicked out of because of these false accusations. Now, again, he comes to me, Mr. Ritchie, please, I know I'm not going to jail over this, but I have no one here. My family, my friends, my church, they've all told me to go away because of these false accusations. What can we do? Well, again, we asked for a hearing. We went in front of the judge. The petitioner gave her testimony. We were able to cross-examine her, present our own evidence, and at the end of the day, the judge determined, yes, these allegations do not rise to the level of a restraining order, and that restraining order was dismissed. Almost immediately, client started to cry. We gave him his life back. He was able to go back to his church. He was able to go back to his neighborhood. He was able to hang out in the same social groups that he used to because he was found that these allegations were not true. Another success story we've had was a woman came to me one time saying, my abusive brother has filed a restraining order against me. So, okay, well, let's delve into that a little bit. Were the police called? Yes, the police were called. Did the police do anything? No, they didn't. Okay, so why is he going after this restraining order? Well, comes to find out that she was living with her mother in a house that the brother owned, and the brother desperately wanted to sell this house. Now, because they were living there for years, they had rights as tenants, and they didn't want to leave this house. The mother didn't want to leave this house. This was an elderly woman. And the brother thought, hey, if I can file a restraining order to get that granted, that's going to make it easier to push my sister out of that house because I want her out of there. I want to sell it. I don't care what happens to my mom. I don't care what happens to my sister. I want to sell that house. So what do? We ask for a hearing. We go in front of the judge. We present our evidence. We present our arguments. The petitioner gave his arguments and submitted his evidence. And at the end of the day, the judge determined, yes, that there was no reason why a restraining order should go into place, that the allegations did not rise to the level of what is needed for a restraining order. And what that meant for my client was that she didn't have to fear about being evicted. She didn't have to fear about going back to a house where she was no longer wanted. She didn't have to fear about having to be homeless. Her and her elderly mother weren't going to be kicked to the street because of a bogus restraining order. So again, because these are civil in nature does not mean that they don't have a lasting impact on people's lives. And that's why it's very important that if you are facing a restraining order, even if it's for something very minuscule, that you hire an attorney, you go to court, you tell the judge why this shouldn't go into place. Because if a restraining order is granted, there could be negative implications. And once it's granted, it's a lot harder to get it reversed. If you're facing a restraining order, please give us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm a phone call. I know we can help. 317-632-3642. And always remember, plead fifth.